Welcome, everybody, and Happy New Year. It's hard to believe we're already 2 weeks into it here, but glad everybody could make it today. We're going to go ahead. I saw Ryan someplace. Ryan, you need to put your plate down and pick up a bucket. Yeah. Well, go ahead and let Ryan get started with Happy Bucks here, then we can rock and roll.
All right. You're welcome, President Roger. Welcome to Rotary Club of Greenville. For those of you that are members of the club, often you know the drill here. It's our Happy Bucks. If you have any happy news to share, we'd love for you to have the chance to do that here on the microphone. We just ask that you drop a couple bucks into the cart bucket here for Alzheimer's research. So who has some happy bucks to share? Oh, Luke's coming in hot, and that's not just a dollar bill I see. Holy, a $5. Whew. Time's been good for Luke here.
Hey, we're happy to announce me and my wife are expecting a baby boy in June.
Take this $5 back. You need this $5. Take that back. Take that back. Diapers are expensive. Congratulations, Luke. That's awesome. Other member news to share. Rob back here. All right.
I'm pleased to announce that that Surrender Jane, Sonny Hander, and I are part of a group that had created a hospice center that opens in February in India for people who have no place to die with dignity.
Fantastic. Valiant effort. Thank you, Surrender. Thank you, Sonny. And thank you, Rob, for that great work of Rotarians here. Miss Randall. Whoa. She's got big news to share, big bucks to share. Here we go.
So I'm putting in a 20 because I'm celebrating this month. I'm another one of the 20-year overnight successes. Amy Randall Photography, now in business for 10 years.
Ow, ow! Small business owner, if you need headshots, photos at your next event, call Amy Randall Photography. I see no one over here. Mr. Howard. Anybody got a Gatorade on them or anything? No? All right.
I'm happy because I got a buck because Snowmageddon did not happen. And I got another happy buck because Steve Dopp is with us today at this next table. And he's one of the reasons we have this Poinsett Hotel here today.
Thank you, Bob. And thank you, Mr. Dopp, for letting us have parties here every other Tuesday. It's great. Hey, Jack.
Hey. Good afternoon. I'm happy because my sister-in-law and her husband's home in California did not burn down. They survived the fire barely.
Happier. Worthy of celebrating here and throwing some money for Alzheimer's research to recognize that. Of course, thoughts with everyone out there out west. Wade, past President Wade.
February 8th, 2025, the Clemson Sunrise Rotary Club is doing another Cupid 5K. Brett Caldwell and I ran in it last year. Would love to see some other Rotarians out there. Come join us.
All right. Somebody join Wade because I certainly can't do that. Yes, Susie.
I've got some happy bucks because I'm happy you're back, so I don't have to do it.
Hey!
And
We'll take that.
I went to Health and Happiness last night, and guess who won the money?
Ooh, look at it. It goes full circle. There it is. There it is. Thank you, Susie. Any other happy news to share? Well, I'll just go ahead and count everybody's cash here. I'm grateful to Mayor's back here to speak to the Rotary Club for his annual speech here to us all. So thank you all, and happy Rotary Tuesday to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. Big hand for Ryan. Always does a great job with that. Couple of announcements here quickly. This coming Thursday, the 16th, we have coffee and conversation at Lazy Latte at 9 a.m. So it's a little earlier than usual. On the 23rd, we have our after hours club meeting at Local Q. So we're back at Local Q. And I'm happy to report our district governor, Rashika, has said she's also going to join us at that meeting because she's got some training on the Friday at the City Club. And our next meeting will have Sheriff Hobart Lewis here for a talk. It's not Law Enforcement Day. That's not till April, but Sheriff Lewis will be here. Take a moment and bow your heads, please. As we gather today, let us take a moment to reflect on the shared purpose that brings us together. Each of us comes from different walks of life with unique talents and perspectives, yet we unite under the common goal of service above self. May we be reminded that true greatness is found not in what we possess, but in what we give. When we lend a hand, share a kind word, or extend an act of service, we not only transform the lives of others, but we also enrich our own. Let us approach today's discussions with open minds, compassionate hearts, and a renewed commitment to building bridges of understanding and goodwill. Together, we can achieve more than we could ever do alone. And if you'll stand for our pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all.
Hello, everyone. It's with a heavy heart that I share some heartbreaking news about our fellow Rotarian, Brett Sterbini. Brett joined our After Hours Club last year, and he's been an awesome, enthusiastic participant. He's already volunteered with our program at a Child's Haven, building reading nooks. Tragically, Brett is now grieving the loss of his wife and unborn child. She passed away on January 6th. Our hearts ache for Brett and his family during this profoundly difficult time. The visitation and funeral are happening this afternoon, and I hate that we can't be there with him in person, but I know that our Rotarians' hearts are there with him. And on behalf of the Rotary family, I want to express our deepest condolences. I encourage everyone to reach out with love, kindness, and support in the days ahead. In moments of tragic loss, words often fail us. Let's take a moment of silence and hold Brett and his children in our hearts and minds. May they find peace and be free from suffering.
Thank you, Amy. All right, next up we have new member videos. So we've got a couple. I will say, new members, as I call you, please call me back so you can do your video. This is now a requirement to get your blue badge. So I've got about a 30% hit rate on new members that have been willing to participate so far. But anyhow, we'll go ahead and get this.
All right, yeah, I'm Brian Bure. I am the general manager at Merrill Gardens. We are a newer senior living community in downtown Greenville. I have been here since we opened. We opened up August of 23, and I started with the company a little bit before that. So I've been here since we've been open. When I'm not at work, I am at home with my family. I have a wife, stepdaughter, and 2 children from a previous. My daughter is in gymnastics, my son is in baseball, and I love spending time with my family. I joined Rotary because I want to get out and meet and socialize with people that are kind of similar to me and have similar interests as me. I love Greenville. I love giving back. I love what the Rotary stands for. And I want to make connections with people that think like me and act like me. I want to network for business. I want to network and just meet new friends. So I've thoroughly enjoyed Rotary so far, and I'm really looking forward to getting and meeting more people. The first thing I did was working with the Kringle Christmas event. I worked apart with the silent auction team, and I was gathering items that were kind of sports related. I worked with the SEC and got them to donate women's tickets to the women's SEC championship tournament here in Greenville. I got the Triumph to donate tickets. I got the Liberty to donate tickets. And I'm looking forward to whatever my next opportunity is.
Hi, my name is Chris Rigby. I was born and raised in Newcastle in Northeast England, graduated from the University of Birmingham, England, before becoming a Royal Navy officer for the first 10 years of my career. Then had a complete change in the mid-80s and began 30 years as a professional recruiter, which took me to these great United States in 1998. When I did the bulk of my work coordinating global recruitment programs for American companies. That all came to an end in the around about 2014 when I had my career swan song as a fundraiser for a private women's college in Columbia, Missouri. And I then retired in 2020 and moved to join my wife, Diane, in San Francisco. That was coincident with the onset of the pandemic. And that was a point at which we both decided that life was going to be a lot better if we made our home elsewhere. And eventually we, by chance, found Greenville, Carolina, which we are delighted to call our home and to which we moved last year. I'm a lifelong supporter of Newcastle United Football Club, and I travel incessantly. I became a Rotarian in 2007. I wanted to give back to the community in which I lived, but didn't actually work. And in moving to Greenville, I want to do exactly the same thing. I moved to help those who are perhaps less advantaged, are motivated by community service, and particularly by the work of the Rotary Foundation. I was able to get involved with Kringle because it seemed a big single event. It was a major fundraiser and the opportunity to meet with a bunch of other Rotarians as well as learn more about the community. Because I travel a lot of my contributions in service will be related to individual events, but I look forward to supporting the work of the Rotary Foundation, and also I'm going to the Rotary Convention in Calgary this year.
You can tell from the, I don't know, 6 or 7 videos we've watched already, who is the best recruiter. I think it's 100% Kringle. So hats off to Jane over there in the corner. Also, the walk-up songs are chosen by the individuals. That is not my choice. Everybody chooses their own walk-up song. So very good. I want to give a quick welcome before we bring in the visiting Rotarians. We have the gang from Alexander. I presume they're over here with Lisa. Very good. Hi, everybody. We have the teacher of the month, Amanda Hammond. She's an art teacher. Hi, Amanda. And the staff member of the month is Juliana Smythe, who's a literacy Smith. Sorry. Okay. Very good. All right. Josh, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. So bear with me today. We've got several guests in attendance today, which is great news. I'm Josh Fowler, president of Davis & Floyd Engineering, and I'm excited to read out all these fine folks that are here today. So if you'll please stand to be recognized when I call your name, and everyone please hold your applause till the end. Robert Pecora, guest of the club. Tammy Behringer, guest of Jack Behringer. Burl Williams, guest of Dave Carfelite. Coleman Brazen, guest of Roger Heitzig. John Lyons, guest of Elizabeth Lyons. Tabitha Studebaker, guest of Lisa Minnick. Grant, is it Talek? Grant Talek, guest of Kendra Williams. Petra Romero, guest of Susie Tumblin. Jay Handler, also guest of Susie Tumblin. Andrew Rista, is that right? Rista? Okay, guest of Alex Darst. Don Ferguson, guest of Jim Puryear. Sandra Welch, guest of Chuck Welch. Joel Chastain, guest of Jeff Pettis. Quentin Wiest, guest of Betty Wiest. Corey Phillips, guest of Ryan Thackeray. We let you in even though you're a guest of Ryan Thackeray, so yeah. Welcome. And we have two visiting Rotarians. First up is Dave Goff, who's a member of the Winchester, Virginia Club, and I think he's been here with us a few times before, correct? Welcome. And finally, Steve Dopp, who we mentioned earlier. He's a member of the Charleston Rotary Club and also a guest of Fabian. So everybody give our guest a hand. Welcome.
Good afternoon. So today is our starting speaker for the year. We bring in someone who is responsible for so many of the great things that we see here in our city. Many who have come to our podium have talked about. They've come for various meetings and visitations and decided they want to move here. They've come to visit children and such, and they walk our great downtowns and they see the amenities. And a lot of that was created by our fine mayor, the mayor who's a native of Greenville, who has served our community as an attorney in immigration, for those who don't know, and in his free time served our city as a city councilman, went on to become mayor in the year of 1995 and is still doing an outstanding job. So today he will bring to us what's new and exciting in the city. And I ask you to join me in welcoming our esteemed Mayor Knox White.
Thank you very much. That's the first time Kendra has introduced me since she has to put up with me every single day, every single day. So you could imagine that. I really always look forward to the Rotary Club speech. It's my favorite speech of the year. I'm not just saying that, it's true. It's great. Looking around the room here, I can see why I feel that way. So thank you for the warm welcome, and just say thank you for all the club does. Steve Dopp has been introduced now 3 times. Steve, is that enough? He came up to me before, Steve, a developer of this hotel, he came in the room and he said, don't feel like you have to introduce me. You've now been introduced 3 times. But we will have a statue to Steve Dopp one day in downtown Greenville because he did bring the Poinsett Hotel back to life. So that's a pretty darn good thing. Okay, well, Kendra was in charge of helping me with my PowerPoint presentation. So let's see if we got it right. We do. Okay. Okay, good. You may think, well, what does that have to do with anything? I think you would all agree that, can you see over there? Okay. You all agree that's a good iconic, iconic piece of Greenville topography, Paris Mountain. Soon to be joined by a new great piece of Greenville topography, Mount Yard Waste from Hurricane Helene. There it is. How many of you have seen this, by the way? Yeah, it's over, thanks to the downtown airport. We actually had a place to put all this stuff, which, by the way, was a major problem for a lot of other cities and certain counties. But we had a place right by the airport, and that doesn't even do it justice. There's actually 2 of them, and that's the, let's see, do we have the Holloway pictures too at the same time? Did I bring that? Yeah, there's our heroes. So I'm going to start with that. It's timely because this week is the first week our friends at Holloway from Florida have gone away. We're finished. We have finished in the city of Greenville. We have finished all the debris cleanup. We think we're the only entity anywhere in the Carolinas that can say that. But we have, and if you live in the city, you know what I'm talking about. We'll still pick up stuff, but we have that. The amount of what we have debris here is, the statistics are it's 420,000 cubic yards, 15 football fields. I don't know where we come up with this stuff, but it's big. It's really big. It's a major disaster here in our community. I'm very proud of the fact that the city of Greenville had the wherewithal to jump on this right away. We have a great director of public works who was from Florida. And I want you to know he told us before the storm was a certainty that should we have a disaster, being from Florida, he knew exactly who he wanted to try to get to Greenville to pick up debris. The best operation in the state of Florida from hurricanes is this company. We probably would not be able to get them because the hurricanes were hitting Florida too. We got them. It helps to have $1 million in your pocket up front. I think the total cleanup's will be like $10 million, by the way, but FEMA checks in on that. But we were able to get them and bring them to Greenville, and it made all difference in the world. And as you probably, if you saw these magnificent vehicles they had, they were custom made by this organization, 17 trucks in Greenville. And we were able to really get the job done. And we had the revenue power, the fiscal power, if you will, to put money on the table. And frankly, a lot of folks couldn't do that, but we did. We got it done. So that's our new symbol. I want to start off with this again. I'm going to talk about some projects that are coming up this year, but it all goes back to the growth we're having in our community. You saw it in the new people who have moved here from all over. I don't think I showed this to you last year. This is from the Federal Reserve a couple of years ago, but the city's the same. You may wonder, where are people coming from into Greenville? We're experiencing record population growth, but in South Carolina, by the way, Horry County and the Grand Strand is #1 in terms of population growth. Charleston is #2. We're #3. This is interesting because we had meetings with them some time back. We asked the question, well, what kind of data do you have about where people are coming from? We all kind of know it anecdotally. Well, here's the truth of it. So by the way, let me walk up to the side here. So the largest number of people that come here come from DC area. Second is Mecklenburg County. That's not too exciting, but a lot of Charlotte people are down here. And then you have South Florida. No surprise, that's kind of, you see the Florida license plates, and that's a large group of counties. Then you have a number, no surprise, the New York City area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. Cobb County, Georgia. That's interesting demographic. Look at number 11. And it's been that way for some time. So when they showed this to us, again, about a year ago, everybody, we had the same reaction, like, what? Honolulu? So I want to show this to you. I was at the Commons meeting with some students of the Clemson Masters in Real Estate program. And this guy on the far left, he's from Honolulu. I said, you're kidding. And I told him what I just showed you. I said, the demographic, nobody understands why that is. And he said, well, meet my mom, who has just moved here too. She's in the Clemson shirt. Mom decided to move to Greenville too. Then, no kidding, while we're having lunch, he stopped the lunch. He said, oh, see that girl over there? She's in the Clemson program too. She's from Honolulu. I said, get over here. We're going to have our picture taken. So there it is. All three living in Greenville, by the way. So there it is. If you don't believe it, you saw it here first. Amazing. We have a lot of projects coming up in 2025 that are coming out of the ground. It was kind of a peculiarity of 2024 that we had a lot of projects in the pipeline. We saw them coming through, but they weren't going to come out until 2025. And that's something the city we knew was going to be the case. But 25 is going to be quite interesting in terms of new buildings in the skyline and such. But I want to start with this one. I know we have a lot of people here who are new to Greenville, so I'm going to give you a little history here. The arena, the Bon Secours Center, was opened in around 1998, and the old auditorium site used to be our arena. It's just up from it, and it has been that hole you see since the year 1998. The old auditorium was torn down, and there it remained. But when it was torn down in 1998, and those who've been here remember this, there was a lot of excitement because, of course, there's going to be a brand new building on that site. In fact, Bank of America was going to build a 10-story, 10, 15-story, as I recall, building on the site. And there's the Greenville News headline, old auditorium site seen as gateway to Greenville. And that article rhapsodizes about the great things that are going to come to that site. It also includes a quote from the new mayor of Greenville saying, absolutely, there's going to be something great on that site. No. The first of like 4 failed projects on that site. Gateway Tower deal crumbles. That was about 2 years later. So there it went. Well, here we are all these years later. For me personally, too, it's kind of funny because it started out this way. And then, yes, and here we have it. This is going to happen. Groundbreaking in July. You can applaud, by the way. Okay. This project, I'll let you in on a secret. It's going to be called the Rotary. We used to have the Rotary Hotel juxtaposed against Poinsett. And Rotary, I've learned, is a Cherokee word for top of the mountain. By the way, they haven't announced that yet, but it's going to be called the Rotary. Multifamily. It's twin towers. It will be 29 stories on one of the towers. That is the tallest building in South Carolina, if you care about that kind of thing. The project team is from Florida. It's a great group of people. They came as a recommendation. Of course, the city never owned this land, so we just watched all these disasters happen. We finally decided about 3 years ago, we got to get involved. This is ridiculous. And I personally kept thinking, well, I came in as mayor and they tore down the building and left the hole, and I promised there'd be a building there. Let's work on this. Went down to Florida, and the mayor of Miami, Suarez, is a friend of a friend kind of situation. And we were just chatting with him about developers from Florida coming to Greenville, because we have a number of Florida developers, as you may know, in Greenville, some big projects. And he recommended this group. He said, I know them. I'll call them. I'll tell them they need to check out Greenville. They did. They were actually going to do a project in Chattanooga, Tennessee, did major projects in Miami, by the way. They were looking at a project in Chattanooga, and then they took a detour. They flew their plane to Greenville, and honest to goodness, you can appreciate this. It was a 10-person team of people and the major developer. They spent a day in Greenville, and at dinner that night, they said, we're not going back to Chattanooga. We didn't even like Chattanooga. And they chose, honest to goodness, the hardest site anybody could choose in Greenville. It has a lot of issues and costs, et cetera, and they did it on purpose. And there we have it. This site, let me see what else I got. Oh, yeah. I mentioned a minute ago that it's the tallest building in South Carolina. And I also tell you that because on social media, that's the kind of thing that just goes wild. Oh, we got buildings that are too tall and shouldn't be that tall and all this. They should make a park out of the site. Well, we don't own the land, so we can't do that. A little bit of history. This is 29 stories. In 1925 or so, that building, 16 stories, was built. That's called the Woodside Building, for those who are from Greenville. It was there until Wells Fargo tore it down about 15 years ago. And then, of course, the Daniel Building, landmark building recently. It's going to be called Daniel again. It's 24 stories, 24-story building, opened in 1965, okay? So here we are in 2025, we're finally going to have a building that is indeed taller. Who would have guessed it'd be a multifamily building, a residential project instead of office, but that's what it'll be. Charles Daniel and Buck Mickle were really the two titans of Greenville in the 1950s and 60s, I would say, and 70s. And Charlie Daniel built the Daniel Building. And Buck Mickle, big presence here in town, he actually said to me, in the presence of other people, by the way, in like 20 years ago, that when he and Charlie Daniel built the Daniel Building in 1965 at 25 stories, and if you knew Buck Mickle, this is classic Buck Mickle, he said, and Mayor, we never intended it to be the tallest building in Greenville for very long. Take care of that. So his aspiration was always there. So it's finally happening. Took long enough. Unity Park, getting started now with 2025. First phase of Unity Park is complete. Been very successful, thank you. And very much loved, and people come down at all times. And it survived the floods of Hurricane Helene, by the way. I should have brought you pictures of that. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It's built to be a retention pond. It's constructed that way, and it retained the water, and then a day later, it was all gone. It's just amazing. The water was actually over the Unity Park sign, and then it was gone, as designed, as intended. But this year, we will open the Honor Tower, which is the Liberty Bridge for this park, if you will. And that ceremony should take place in June. And it's 10 stories, by the way, if we're in the counting stories. And the Honor Tower will be finally open. The designer of the Honor Tower is from Los Angeles, and he's supposed to be here this week. I assume he'll be here with the situation there. And so it is. If you go over there now, you'll see that that's the elevator shaft. And then the stairs are going to be erected this month. And then the outer structure after that. Little background on the Honor Tower. It's to become a commemoration place. A large plaza in front of it is a commemoration place for first responders. We don't have anything like that today when we have special ceremonies, whether it's good times or bad. And so ceremonially, it's going to become kind of a focal point for first responders, which I think is going to be a great thing for Greenville. But also the tower itself became a kind of a cause célèbre with the neighborhood, the southern side neighborhood around it. As we looked at various parts of the park and the planning process, which involved hundreds of people from that neighborhood for over 4 or 5 years. So I have this picture to show you one thing. So that's Lillian Brock Fleming, longtime city council member for that area. And that's Reverend Stacy Mills, great community leader, but he's also pastor of Mountain View Baptist Church, which is in the church area, in that park area. They were two of the leaders in terms of the design process for the park. They really wanted this tower, and Reverend Mills in particular, and Mary Duckett, they wanted the tower to be high enough to see the mountains. That was the case. So we actually took a bucket truck, and this is a picture to show it back in 2019. And Lillian and Reverend Mills later and various other people took a bucket ride to get this height exactly right. So this tower is designed per their instructions on that day. Have you ever ridden in a bucket truck? They do not go smoothly up like this. They go like this. I did not ride the bucket truck. I watched them. So that will be underway. It's underway now, but it will be finished. Also adjacent to that is, thanks to the generosity of Craig Brown of the Greenville Drive, the new baseball field will also be open. It started out as a rather modest proposal in working with the neighborhood to restore Mayberry Park, which had been around since the 1920s, but was, let's just call it, a very rough ball field by modern times. But it had a long history and a lot of people attached to it. So we knew we wanted to recreate a baseball field down there for junior league, little league baseball and such. Craig Brown got involved and made, as many people did, a very generous donation for the park. And I guess it's okay to talk about things like this. His original gift to the Unity Park was, I think, $500,000. Might have been $250, but you know, who's counting at that level? $250, $500. We had the plans, and Craig Brown met with the neighborhood, and he said, and they were excited about the ball field being restored. But Craig Brown, and if you know Craig, this is so Craig, he said, you know, this ought to be better than this. I mean, how about if I bring my architectural team that we use at the Greenville Drive from Boston and let them take a look at it? And we all said, well, okay, fine. Well, they did. And they created let's call it the finest Little League baseball field in the entire Western world at this point. And the price tag went up like 3 times. And so we went through several months of back and forth about, okay, but the price tag is, you know, way higher than originally planned. It's a great ball field, though. It's got the press boxes and all kind of extras. And Craig stepped up at the end of the day and said, look, he wrote the check, and his total contribution is close to $1 million now. And he went and found his favorite friends. I don't know, George, did he get you? I don't know. He got everybody else to pony up too. So we're going to have a great ball field for the community, way beyond anything we thought of. And that's kind of been the story of Unity Park, by the way. Everything we started out doing became better than we thought it was going to be because of incredible generosity of people in the community who wanted to participate. Next phase also of Unity Park that you're going to start hearing about this year is the affordable housing aspect. As you may recall, the city owned not only the properties that became the park in the floodplain, we also own, through kind of a quirk of history for many decades, we own a lot of acreage on the edge of the park. Now, those properties forever, there hasn't been just for example, there's not been a house on those properties in decades, not since the early 1960s. It's got flood issues. It wasn't a desirable neighborhood. Nothing was happening there. Well, today, those properties, I think it's fair to say, are beachfront property, highly desirable. $1 million condos are being built in the area that we do not own, but all those orange properties are owned by the city of Greenville. So in 2018, when George Fletcher was on city council, the city council made a decision to donate all of those properties to the Housing Trust Fund for Affordable Housing. So our park will be surrounded by it. So this year, finally, our first project, groundbreaking in probably next month for the first project, around 300 units of senior housing. The neighborhood, again, was involved in that process of what kind of housing, and they wanted the senior housing because that's the people who live in the neighborhood for many generations who want to stay in the neighborhood. So this will be the first project. There'll actually be a second one across the street. But just to give you geography, this is across from the main post office on Washington Street, but just down from there. There'll be 3 affordable housing projects coming out in 2025 around the park, and many more after that. And by the way, they join about 4 other major projects, affordable housing projects of the Greenville Housing Fund that either are under construction now or soon to be in 2025. This is kind of the big year breakout in terms of close to 600, 700 units of affordable housing. I'll leave this one for last. I have no idea. So it is the wheel of city council. Well, I mentioned Lillian just a moment ago. Let me quote Lillian Brock Fleming, because last night she was on a tear on this topic. She said, it's time for us to have a city hall that's up to the standards of all the great quality we see in the community. She said it more colorfully than I just said it. This building has every asbestos and HVAC problem in the world. It's a very uninspiring place to work. The city council chamber is on the 10th floor. Who in the world thought that was a great idea? We'll have like a contentious zoning fight. Everybody gets on the elevator later. It's over. Yeah, it's very strange. But seriously, we've said a couple of years ago, we made a decision to do something with City Hall. We're either going to see it torn down and a new building built, considerably nicer and better, or it could be a renovation around that structure. This is an old picture of City Hall. For those who are new to Greenville, that's the old plaza. Today, that's the Marriott Hotel and the ice skating rink. That's another project we did a couple of years ago. But the City Hall issue is still out there. We have a good fund of money to do it. We're working with private developers to make it a public-private partnership. And stay tuned. I hope we make a decision on that pretty soon. But those are great projects. Just to touch very quickly on some other big things this year, we're spending a couple millions of dollars to make major renovations in parks around our city. In particular, if you've been down to Cleveland Park lately, you probably have seen the enormous changes that are going on in Cleveland Park. Where the old tennis courts are, they're now going to be double the number of tennis courts and pickleball fields. And there's improvements over the Swamp Rabbit Trail section through everything else. And also there's a wonderful new playground for special needs children that's going to be built that really will be second to none in Cleveland Park. So we're really rejuvenating Cleveland Park. Just like this year, 2025 is the 100th anniversary of this hotel. More to be seen about that shortly, I hope. It's the 100th anniversary of the downtown airport. Doesn't that strike you? But it is. You'll be reading about that. It's also the 100th anniversary of Cleveland Park. And it's nice to reflect on that because in 1925, some really transformational things happened to Greenville for a lot of reasons that kind of came together in 1925, and we all benefit by today. And in a funny and kind of curious way, 2025, if things stay on track, is going to be a similar kind of year. You'll have future iconic landmarks, if you will, created in 2025 that will stand the test of time and be very much a part and parcel of the city we love. So thank you very much. Appreciate your attention and thanks for having me here. Appreciate it. I know y'all do questions and answers. Happy to do that too. Sure. Just remember I can't hear. Okay. Okay, George, you get the first question? All right. Appreciate that. price tag will probably be, I think I mentioned a moment ago, but FEMA takes care of the expenses for the most part. When we hired the U-Haul haul-away folks, one great thing about them is they're in this business. They do the hurricanes, so they're bookkeeping and they know how to work the FEMA system, if you will, very well. And that was an amazing behind-the-scenes story, by the way, how they measure things and the paperwork, the documentation. But it's close to $10 million of work in Greenville, and it better be paid for by FEMA. Well, we did have somebody up front. But, you know, in a serious note, I can't help but watch the other disasters around the country, even in California. And to watch how local governments respond to things. It goes, you know, it goes back to the days of Katrina. If you have a dysfunctional local government, you're going to get a dysfunctional recovery effort too. You better hope. I mean, that's real. The real test comes in, and frankly, our physical strength, our financial ability to do this was extremely important, and our absolutely world-class public works department and police department, fire department came to the forefront in every single way. And you know, thank God for it. They did a great job. Yes, sir. On the river itself. Oh, on pollution in the river and such. Well, didn't seem to have too big a problem, not as much as we had in the past. One thing about the Unity Park Reedy River restoration, which was a huge part in terms of the price tag of the Unity Park, the restoration and really the recreation of the river there, because it was, you know, we bulldozed it basically. Great environmental design and engineering group that worked on that with us. It's designed such that you can, of course, see the river. It's a completely different look than what it used to be, but also it's designed not only for flood retention. Again, if you have an aerial photograph, you can see how it's sort of it's like this, and the water just pools up just like expected. But also the plant material all through Unity Park is designed to clean the water as well. It has a cleansing effect to it. So it's an amazing process, and I'm kind of glad you mentioned that, because now I would say the flood sort of swept through there. But on the normal operation, we've noticed the water downstream is cleaner than it used to be, and we think it is in part because of what happened at Unity Park. But the fact that we had the retention, this was such a massive flood with Hurricane Helene, but it still had an effect of, you know, Cleveland Park wasn't as bad because of this, and downstream in the city was helped as well. Yes, sir. Yeah, another thing that's kind of happening in 2025, he asked about the Swamp Rabbit Trail, is that we're, in the city at least, our major focus now is the connecting points to the trail. So we're doing some major connections over Lawrence Road for Parkins Mill and Gower to people to be able to touch the trail, the Nickeltown, Eastover area, and other parts of the city. We have a great plan now for the whole North Main area, because their leadership really wants to connect to the trail, and we've got a really very creatively designed plan to connect everyone. The new trail section through parallel to Lawrence Road has been a runaway smash hit. If you've been on that, and if you've seen the new bridge up to Hollingsworth as well, it's really beautiful. It's changed everybody's attitude over that area in terms of participation in the trail. So you're going to see a lot more of that. I don't really know much about in the county sections what they're doing. We did have a meeting, a short conversation, I should say, really with Malden officials, because we run the trail all the way through Hollingsworth, and we're going to hop over Verde Boulevard and go through Clemson I-Car. The idea is that we would connect up to Malden. Well, I hope one day we do, but when we met with Malden, let's just say we're here and they were like, wait. And they didn't seem to have a real good handle on how they're going to connect us. So we'll have to figure that out, or they'll have to figure that out. Yes, sir. Way back there? Yes, with the tree canopy. Yeah, we're really on that. We do have some stats on that. And we've already launched our tree restoration program. We already had one kind of ongoing, but the tree planting program is underway. There's a major aspect of that in the North Main area in particular, up and down North Main Street. You'll be hearing more about it, but we're working exactly on that issue. Everybody thought, I mean, didn't you think that oak trees were like the great oak? And now you know, no, not true. Oak trees actually have a very small root ball. And so when under pressure, they just flip right over. Who knew? I didn't know that. So one aspect of the planning with some of the arborists is we are working with a team of arborists is different kind of trees that have a more extensive root ball system so they don't tilt over like that. Who knew? Yes, sir. Oh, Church Street Bridge. Oh, I want to think about that. Church Street Bridge is a state DOT bridge. They're going to be renovating it. In my opinion, they really need to tear it down and build a brand new bridge. This renovation idea, I think, is poorly thought out. It'll be a great bridge. We'll have a walkability aspect to it. Who would have believed that, with barriers so you can actually safely walk across a Church Street Bridge or bicycle. And actually, if you look at the Bohemian Hotel and the development around that side, you can begin to see that, yeah, that kind of makes sense in the future. People will actually want to do that. I don't know when the project's actually going to start. We do meet with them pretty regularly, and it's going to be quite a mess for a while though. Yeah. All right. One more. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, Chris is. Yeah. 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 We have looking at other city halls, and we're probably looking at a mixed use project. Maybe it will have an office component to it as well. We don't need it. We just opened a new police headquarters as well as fire department and city court over on Halton Road. And so we've moved a lot of employees over there. We don't have as many people in the actual building now, so we only need about 5 floors of the current building square footage. So 4 or 5 floors would be city government, and it would be kind of separate in look from, say, a tower behind it. Is kind of what we're thinking. So we've looked at theirs. Only difference is our properties will be a little bigger. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all very much. I look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was, as always, fantastic. We appreciate it. And you all know the drill. The mayor's been kind enough to sign a book for us. So Mike, see me after the meeting. I'll get it to you to take over to our friends at Alexander Elementary School. We skipped over CART. I'm going to let Jim come up here real quick. But first, I want to thank all the fine folks here, Fabian, and for getting an extra table set up for us. Jenny told me to remind everybody that helps when you register for meetings. We had a kind of a sold out show today. So, but thank you so much for everything you always do for us. I'm not going to introduce your boss again, but I will say nice things about you and what you do for us in front of your boss. So hopefully that compensates. I'm going to let Jim come up here real quick on CART. I skipped over him earlier. So come on. We got a couple of minutes. Yes. Talk fast, Jim.
Stepping up after the mayor's been here is kind of tough, but we do appreciate our mayor. It's great to live in a city where the mayor is so respected. I wanted to mention a bit about CART, and that's the bucket on the table. Many of you are probably not aware that stands for Coins for Alzheimer's Research Trust, and boils down it is a program that we support to provide research dollars for Alzheimer's research. And I first want to say that since we only meet once every other week, many clubs pass the bucket every week, and it's easier to gather more money. Well, we have come up with a plan, and one member in the club matches whatever goes into that bucket. This week it is Sonny Honda. Most of you know Sonny. He's a vigorous Rotarian. Has been there. He is back there. Been in this club 16 years. You may know something about it. He was educated in India, got his MBA here in the United States. He was with Mass Mutual for a number of years. Recently, he went into to come global hedge fund investments there. A great supporter here. I'll say this. He not only agreed to match, but he went out and recruited another matcher for us, which was very helpful. I've seen people hitting the bucket. Please hit that bucket hard. We want to make him pay today. Okay. But Sonny is of course married and has 2 grown children, and we appreciate his presence here. The other thing about the CART bucket, so many times we only hear about asking for money. What's going on with that CART organization, which consists of about 25 Rotary clubs in the southeastern United States primarily, and actually other clubs from outside? Well, at this time of year, it is a very active time for the administration of the CART fund. The vice president for research is working very hard. Now, many of you may remember Gary Goforth, who was past district governor of this. Dr. Goforth is a physician and is very much involved. But what has happened is that during the year of CART, in August, an announcement goes to all the primary research institutions in the country that are involved in research for the aging. And this goes out to top institutional announcement. Okay, we collect preliminary applications back from these researchers around the country. This year we had 92 applications, which is the most applications we've ever had, a preliminary application. After that, those are narrowed down by a research committee, review committee. These are 3 of the top individuals in the United States, as far as I'm concerned, in all types of research, who scan these 92 preliminary applications and come up with 15 final applications. Now, those 3 people, I have to let me know if I run over time, Mr. President, but I get all excited. I want to point out, when we first got into research in CART, we tried to find somebody who would review these applications. Well, Roger Ackerman, who did it, looked around at various researchers in the country, and 2 or 3 of them said, yeah, I'll do it for $5,000 or $10,000 a year. These 3 individuals we have who are top flight are doing that as volunteer, which is the characteristic of all CART. Well, we got those 92 applications. They're being narrowed down at this time to 15. They will be eventually awarded 5 or 6 grants. Now, one other thing I really want to pat you all, this whole area on the back. We started out that was some 20, 30 years ago. We had about $100,000 to give out. This year we will have $2 million, and the highest grant will be $500,000. And what's significant about that, that is a very attractive grant for people who are getting into the initial part of with kind of what you'd say creative innovation in this, which would give them money to go on to NIH to get more money. Okay, Mr. President, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. Thanks to all of our presenters today as well. Remember the 4 things. 1, we still need help for Kringle. Jane's already getting rolling on next year. So volunteer for Kringle. Bring somebody to discover Rotary. Get involved in your club and have fun. So would you all rise and we'll do the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better relations? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Right on time.